Yeah, so my name is Sujit Kumar. I'm a data science consultant at Osthus GmbH here in Aachen, Germany for last 1.5 years. And at Osthus, we provide bioinformatics and cheminformatics consultancy to most of the top world's leading chemical and pharma companies in the world. My role as a data science consultant helps me to actually help in turn all the industries that we have here in Germany, Europe, and across the world. And through this experience, I've realized that it's not just important to apply machine learning to solve problems, but also to be able to explain why and how the model works. So that's how I got interested in this topic. After almost 8 years of experience in analytics industry, applying machine learning in different fields for different projects. Slowly, the topic of ethical AI is, I'm getting attracted to it, and it makes total sense to me. I'll give you some examples, and then we can discuss it further. So let's get on with the. My introduction was already given by Jovan, so I'll skip this slide. I'll be talking about machine learning in data-driven decisions. Why do we use machine learning? Why is it important? Why to use it at all in data-driven decisions? It's not really necessary to use machine learning in data-driven decisions, right? It's only an option, but I'll explain to you what advantages it gives. And then we'll move on to the so-called myth of black box, and I'll try to demystify it. I'll move on to interpretability of ML models, give you some methods as well, which are being used nowadays to explain the models. I'll also try a bit to actually differentiate between interpretability and explainability of machine learning models. And finally, I'll conclude my talk. Yeah, so as I said, what attracted me to this topic? GDPR is actually a hot topic here in Europe and everywhere else. Most of the clients I've worked with, we need to share data, and they're all scared because of this GDPR rule that we have. And it has actually provided some very nice guidelines for big companies to be responsible and accountable on how they use machine learning models. So look at this example where it's clearly specified in GDPR that a phrase called as right to explanation that mandates greater algorithmic accountability for institutions making data-driven decisions that affect individuals. So companies like Facebook, Amazon, or whichever company of whatever size, they are responsible for the machine learning model that they are using, especially because if it affects the lives of common people. Next one, not just Europe, not just GDPR, even in US, for example, Federal Trade Commission says the use of AI tools should be transparent, explainable, fair, and empirically sound while fostering accountability. Yeah, the sentence might look complex, but the point is, I'll explain this point through an example. So why did US Federal Trade Commission, first of all, come with such a statement? So many cases happen in US, and one of that cases is loan provider, a bank actually in US, was continually not giving loans to the people of darker skin, the black people. And then when finally they were accounted for it and they dug deep into the model that was actually doing this, they figured out it was not really based on any logical and a good explanation based on their income level, economic status, and so on. It was just discriminating based on the race. So it was basically a discriminatory model. Well, you can say that it's a machine learning model and it just gives the output based on the input. But then whoever created that model, whichever company it's using that model, they are finally responsible for it. And because of many cases like these, finally the government had to come up with some ethical AI solutions, and that's why it was added in the law. Yeah. Next one, to start with, why to use machine learning at all in data-driven decisions. So machine learning provides various methods to use data for deriving business decisions in a very sensible way. So broadly, they could be categorized as descriptive analytics, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. Let me walk you all through this. First, on descriptive analytics, it's basically what happened and when it happened. So people who have worked in data science domain, they will know that this is the first step of data science project where you do the exploratory data analysis. You take the data and have a descriptive summary of it, providing in numerical terms, I could say mean, mode, and so on. What is the data all about? What does it represent? That's called descriptive analytics. Diagnostic analytics concerns with why something happened. So, for example, the cases like anomaly detection, why certain set of data behave differently than the majority of data. To detect that's an example of diagnostic analytics. Now, predictive analytics, I would say this is the most used type of analytics where you try to forecast what might happen in future based on the historical data that you already have, right? Same example, I could say the previous presentation was based on partly on predictive analytics. And other examples would be to actually detect for example, in automotive industry, do the predictive maintenance of automobiles. That would be an example of predictive analytics, right? And also, for example, trying to come up with the new, gene of virus to already start working on creating new vaccines for the virus. That sort of predictive analytics. And the last one would be prescriptive analytics, recommends a course of action. The most famous example that you all would relate to is on Netflix, where it recommends you the next movie or TV series you could watch based on the previous movies that you've already watched on Netflix. Now, what are the business values of using machine learning for data-driven decisions? As you know, big data primarily constitutes of the volume of data, variety, velocity, veracity, and so on. So wherever you see it's all big data. And big data in itself is not very useful unless you summarize it, whether you're doing it for descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, or prescriptive, whichever method. But finally, you need to summarize that data to take some meaningful insight from the data. And finally, in most of the industries we have worked, we have consulted, we have found that at the end, even now, the human judgment still is on top. They would ultimately want the subject matter experts. Those have been working for decades in that company and gaining knowledge through their experience. They still want to have the final say. So they will use the machine learning models to help them in their decision making, but the final decision is still up to them. We have not come to a stage yet where the ultimate final decision that impacts the course of the company, of a big project, is purely based on machine learning output. That's still not the case. And then finally, this use of domain knowledge and machine learning prediction is presented to the CXO level people to actually make the decisions. Now, coming on to the demystification of so-called myth of black box. So what exactly is that? Some of you would know, some of you might not be aware. So we call something a black box, especially a machine learning model, when you provide the input and you are receiving the output, but if you have no idea what's going inside, that would be called a black box. So historically speaking, machine learning was not always considered a black box, especially when the neural networks were not so much in use. So when you would just use some basic statistical approaches to forecast something, for example, whether it's linear regression or logistical regression, it's not really a black box. Only when you have hundreds of neural net layers in a deep learning network, whether it's for computer vision or NLP method, and you're unable to predict which particular node of the neural network had a certain percentage of participation in the output. These things are very difficult to explain even now, and that's why people came up with this term of black box. But overall, is it really a black box? I don't think so. You have lots of features, rules, correlations between the data set that you have, that you're providing as input, to draw some conclusion from. So yes, there are neural networks which are difficult to interpret, but there are also some easier machine learning models that are way simpler to interpret. And for any given problem, it's not important to only use neural networks. You can always use other methods if they work fine. So on an average, I would just say, if at all you have to, ascertain some color to the box, it would be a gray box, neither white nor black. So some of the machine learning models are very easy to interpret. For example, linear regression, decision trees, where you have different nodes and how much each node is contributing to the result. You can always gauge that. And similarly, k nearest neighbors as an unsupervised learning. And as I mentioned, some of the machine learning models are super difficult to interpret, like neural networks, ensemble methods, and kernel-based methods. In the next slide, you will have an overall picture of interpretability versus accuracy of different machine learning models, right? So as you can see, when it comes to interpretability, logistic regression, decision trees are very easy. But also compared to neural networks and ensemble methods, they're not very accurate. Well, depends on the problem, depends on the data size that you have. But in general, it's difficult for a logistic or linear regression to compete with a neural network. But at the same time, although neural networks provide great accuracy in most of the cases, because there are already so many pre-trained models from Google, from Amazon, that the data scientists at those companies have trained it on supercomputers and used a huge set of data that you in your company might not have. So using a neural network, you can always use those pre-trained models and then use your small data set to come up with some output, and that's why they are so accurate. But then again, at the same time, it's not very interpretable. You can't really explain what's going on inside. And for that reason, as a data engineer, as a data scientist, as a machine learning engineer, you should always be aware, how important for you it is to finally explain the outcomes that you are getting from your machine learning models, and then choose the machine learning model accordingly as per your use case. Now, what exactly is interpretability? It's basically understanding the cause and effect, right? So if a model can take the inputs and routinely get the same output, the model will be called an interpretable model. And its ability to change the output corresponding to a change in input. So when you understand your model, you understand which input, which features are resulting in what kind of outcome. You can always tweak the input, the features. You can do the feature engineering and then change the output accordingly. When you have control over that, it can be said that you can really interpret the model, knowing which features in data set can result in which kind of outcome. Now, there are different ways to interpret these models. This is not an exhaustive list, of course. There are many other ways. And as you know, in data science world, every day, almost every day, something new is coming up. First two methods, algorithm generalization and pay attention to feature importance. These are simple methods that can be used for most of the basic machine learning models. So what algorithmic generalization basically means to make the model in such a way that it does not work only on the training data, but also if a new data is fed to the system, it's still able to provide the same result as it provided on the trained data, almost the same precision and accuracy. That would be called a generalized model. And yeah, of course, as I said, you should always pay attention to the feature importance. That's what we call feature engineering. And then there are some other methods like LIME, local interpretable model agnostic explanation model, which basically takes one data point from your huge model and gives the feature importance of different features at that point, and that's why it's called a local interpretable model. It goes to a particular local place in the huge universe of the model, and then and then it can provide some meaningful information from there. And this is mostly used for neural networks. And as of now, it's only applicable on text data and images data. And we also have deep lift and layer-wise relevance propagation. All these are mostly used for neural networks, deep neural networks. And if you are interested in these topics, I can discuss more in detail in the coffee bar. Or yeah. Now coming to explainability, we talked about interpretability, but what exactly is explainability and how does it differ from interpretability? So now this is understanding the internal mechanics. Once you know the cause and effect, you should also have the knowledge of what a node represents and its importance to the model's performance. It is an extra step in the building process. It's like wearing a seat belt while driving a car. It is not really necessary for the car, wearing seat belt is not necessary for the car to run, but offers insurance when things crash. Similarly, when the model gives some stupid outcome, if you can explain the model, you know why you are getting such a stupid outcome. Why is it important to make the of course in the organization it's important to make the non-technical people understand why the model behaves in a certain way. Answer, how did the model arrive at a certain conclusion when asked? And of course, ethical AI, GDPR. There are different ways for explaining machine learning models, and this explainable machine learning has become so important nowadays. It has even got its own acronym, XML. Interactive dashboards could be created using some sample data set on that model to show it to your business leaders. Display the most important features, feature mapping, and then perhaps if it's possible, let the decision makers play with the dashboard to get a feel and have some reliability index of the ML model. Now, I would say, why not ML model for data-driven decisions? In fact, it's the default nowadays. Machine learning doesn't have to be a black box anymore, and interpretability is as important as creating a model as a data engineer. Explainable machine learning to achieve wider acceptance among the population. It could be your people within the company, managers, the decision makers, and also the ethics committee. And it's super important for safety and non-discrimination. I gave such examples at the beginning of my presentation. And explainability is a core problem that the ML field is still trying to solve actively. And at the end, a famous quote, I do not take the guarantee if this quote was actually said by Albert Einstein, like any other quote nowadays. But yeah, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. It goes for any problem, and it goes very well for machine learning problems. Well, thank you for listening.